soldiers, sailors, marines, airmen.
You are our greatest weapon of all.
First step in solving any problem is recognizing there is one.
It's time we started talking. Pain isn't something we call.
All we can ever do for our heroes is remember them. And they gave up two lives, the one they were living and the one they would have lived. They gave up everything for our country, for us. They prayed for freedom and justice.
Some veterans not getting the timely care that they need. Less than 1% of Americans serving in uniform. Good news is that in recent years we've made historic investments to boost the VA budget.
What is it? Why should we care?
We should care about press freedom because we were informed.
In democratic societies, free, diverse, and pluralist media enable public debates and are essential checks
You don't
on
look
power.
satisfied. Let's discuss.
Hey guys, welcome to Vet to Vet podcast, new episode. Today we talk about hemorrhoids. Hemorrhoid is an irritated clump of swollen veins in the anus or lower rectum, similar to varicose veins. And there are two main types of hemorrhoids, internal and external. Internal hemorrhoids lie inside the rectum and rarely cause discomfort, as they usually cannot be seen or felt. However, straining or irritation when passing stool can damage hemorrhoid's surface and cause it to bleed. An external one are those under the skin around the anus, when irritated external hemorrhoids can itch or bleed. And hemorrhoids are very common, affecting nearly 3 out of 4 adults on occasion. So most likely you have it. So yeah, let's go into the topic.
So, often described as varicose veins of the rectum, hemorrhoids are enlarged, bulging blood vessels in about the anus and lower rectum. They can be internal or external, and some people may have both types at the same time. External are more likely to cause pain and itching when irritated, while internal are generally painless but can cause bleeding. External hemorrhoids develop near the anus are covered by very sensitive skin. If a blood clot develops in one of them, a painful swelling may occur. The external hemorrhoid feels like a hard, sensitive bump. It bleeds only if it ruptures. Internal hemorrhoids develop within the anus beneath the lining. Painless bleeding and protrusion during bowel movements are the most common symptom. However, an internal hemorrhoid can cause severe pain if it is completely prolapsed, meaning it protrudes from the anal opening.
Yeah, so what causes hemorrhoids?
Many factors contribute to hemorrhoids. Just the upright posture of humans alone force a great deal of pressure on the rectal veins, which sometimes cause them to bulge. Other factors include aging, chronic constipation or diarrhea, pregnancy, hereditary, faulty bowel function, spending long periods time on the toilet. Whatever the case, the tissues supporting the veins stretch. As a result, the veins dilate and their walls become thin and bleed. If the stretching and pressure continue, the weakened veins protrude.
Yeah, so like if you notice any of the following, you could have hemorrhoids. It's, bleeding during bowel movements, protrusion during bowel movements, itching or pain in the anal area, or sensitive lumps. So those are the signs.
So, in order to receive a disability compensation for hemorrhoids, veterans first must establish service connection for the condition. Specifically, veterans must show the VA that their hemorrhoids were incurred or aggravated by their military service. To do so, veterans will often need to provide positive medical nexus opinion linking the hemorrhoids to their service. Once service connection is granted, the VA will assign a disability rating based on the severity of the condition. The VA rates them under 38 CFR 4.114 Schedule of Ratings Digestive System, Diagnostic Code 7336. The rating criteria is as follows. 20% with persistent bleeding and with secondary anemia or with fissures. 10% large or thrombotic, irreducible with excessive redundant tissue, evidence of frequent reoccurrences, and 0% for mild or moderate.
Yeah, and also 20% is the highest schedule rating for hemorrhoids. Veterans may be entitled to receive an extra schedule rating if they can demonstrate that the rating criteria does not accurately reflect the level of disability. And usually this happens when a veteran experiences symptoms or limitation not considered by the rating schedule. Thus, VA must determine if the veteran is eligible for a higher disability rating than the schedule sets forth. So what is the option to decrease federal spending?
The Congressional Budget Office, the CBO, periodically issues a volume of options that would decrease federal spending or increase federal revenues over the next decade. For each option, the CBO presents an estimate of its effect on the budget, but makes no recommendations. In December 2016, CBO released its report, Options for Reducing the Deficit, 2017 to 2026. Within this installment, the CBO presented an option to narrow eligibility for veterans' disability compensation by excluding certain disabilities unrelated to military duties. CBO estimated that in 2015, VA paid 716,000 veterans a total of $3.7 billion to compensate for 7 of the medical conditions that, according to the Government Accountability Office, the GAO, military service is unlikely to cause or aggravate. The condition of hemorrhoids was included as one of those 7 conditions. Under the option, veterans receiving compensation for hemorrhoids, one of the other 7 conditions, would have their compensation reduced or eliminated. Furthermore, veterans who applied for compensation for those conditions in the future would not be eligible for it. CBO estimated that this option would reduce spending by $26 billion from 2018 to 2026. However, this option was merely the result of research and data compiled by the CBO. It is important to note that no action has been taken regarding veterans' eligibility for disability compensation for hemorrhoids, and there is currently no indication that any action will be taken in the future. This was just research and their ideas.
Yeah, so what are the ways to establish a service connection for hemorrhoids?
Number 1, the simplest way to establish a service connection for hemorrhoids is to have some evidence that the hemorrhoids manifested during your time in service. In some cases, this is simply a matter of collecting your medical records to prove the timing of the hemorrhoid outbreak. For example, if you served from 89 to 92, a medical diagnosis of hemorrhoids in 1990 would establish a service connection to support VA disability benefits. If you have documentation that it happened during your service, that makes it service connected. Number 2, if they were worsened by service. If you experienced hemorrhoids prior to joining the military, but they worsened significantly during your time in service, you may be able to establish service connection to your hemorrhoids. This would require you to prove that the evidence that it was worse and more severe than natural progression of this condition. However, if you can either present a doctor's letter tracking the state of your hemorrhoids and presenting an opinion that the worsening was not a natural progression, or identify a specific event during your service that caused it to worsen, you may be able to establish a service connection for your claim for VA disability benefits for hemorrhoids as an aggravated condition. So, for example, say they were often caused by strain during bowel movements. The strain causes the blood vessels to swell. The swelling can even cause blood clots to form in hemorrhoids. If you suffered from a severe case of constipation during your service, the strain on the blood vessels can cause hemorrhoids to flare up or even develop blood clots in the way that it's worse than normal for your hemorrhoids. By identifying a specific condition like severe constipation that led to unnatural or abnormal worsening of your hemorrhoids, you may be able to establish a service connection for your VA disability when you file for this claim. And that would be like an aggravated condition due to service. Number 3, hemorrhoids diagnosed after service. So service connection can be proven when hemorrhoids are diagnosed after service, and that is my dog squeaking. The service connection can be proven when the hemorrhoids are diagnosed after service if they manifested during service. That is my dog again. This can occur under a few different circumstances. Internal hemorrhoids might go unnoticed when they cause little or no pain and only occasional bleeding. Alternatively, you may have foregone seeing the doctor about your hemorrhoids during service, either because they were mild or due to embarrassment. If you can provide testimony or evidence that the hemorrhoids manifested during your service, a post-service diagnosis may not preclude a claim for VA disability benefits for hemorrhoids. For example, you may be able to point to a specific occurrence that triggered the hemorrhoids. Since hemorrhoids have many causes, this may be a viable strategy for some veterans to establish a service connection.
So why are hemorrhoids so hard to diagnose?
Hemorrhoids can occur inside the anus and go unnoticed, except for an occasional drop of pink blood during bowel movements. Occasionally, internal hemorrhoids are undiagnosed or misdiagnosed. Diagnosis of hemorrhoids during your service would not prevent you from seeking a VA disability benefit for hemorrhoids after your service ended. In fact, you can obtain a doctor's opinion letter saying that the hemorrhoids manifested during service and were misdiagnosed, as for example, an infectious disease. The mixed diagnosis can actually help your case by showing that they manifested during service. Hemorrhoids can also occur outside the anus. These hemorrhoids can be extremely painful, particularly if they are swollen and inflamed. These hemorrhoids can crack or tear or bleed and become infected. These symptoms can make sitting impossible and can make walking and lifting painful. Hemorrhoids can be caused by heavy lifting, constipation, diarrhea, and low fiber foods. They can be caused by a reoccurring problem, particularly if the conditions causing the hemorrhoids are unchanged. For example, if you were deployed and working in hot conditions, doing heavy lifting, eating low fiber foods, and drinking contaminated water that caused diarrhea, hemorrhoids would not be a surprise occurrence. They could occur over the entire deployment and after deployment ended. They could also occur when you sit for long periods of time. As a result, certain jobs are more prone to developing hemorrhoids. For example, drivers, pilots, and computer operators are more likely to develop them because of prolonged sitting. This can especially affect older service members because blood vessels and muscles lose their elasticity when you age. If you develop hemorrhoids during your active duty or active training due to condition of your service, you may be able to show that you are entitled to a VA disability benefits for hemorrhoids. You may even be able to file a claim for past VA benefits for hemorrhoids that have been treated. In one reported case, a veteran was able to establish a service connection for a VA disability rating for his hemorrhoids that were treated with surgery. The VA awarded disability benefits to the veteran for the period beginning with the onset of the hemorrhoids until the date they were cured.
So how do we claim VA disability benefits for hemorrhoids as a secondary service-connected disability?
For many veterans, hemorrhoids are the result of another service-connected disability under the secondary service-connected disability doctrine. You must first establish a primary service-connected disability. And any disabilities linked to the primary disability by medical or scientific evidence can be compensated as a secondary service-connected disability. For secondary service-connected disabilities, you do not need to prove a service connection. Rather, you only need to establish the nexus between the primary and the secondary disability. So, say constipation and diarrhea can lead to hemorrhoids. If you have another service-connected disability that causes diarrhea or constipation, such as IBS, you may be able to obtain a nexus letter for hemorrhoids in which the doctor renders his opinion that the primary disability caused the hemorrhoids. Such a nexus letter would support a claim for VA disability benefits. If you are granted a secondary service connection disability rating for hemorrhoids, the disability rating for hemorrhoids is aggregated with your primary service-connected disability rating using VA math. So just keep in mind that the VA math is not a simple addition of the individual disability ratings. For example, if your disability rating for the primary disability of IBS is 30 and your disability rating for secondary of hemorrhoids is 20, the two are aggregated together for an overall rating of 40. That is fun math. This calculation supports the strategy of including hemorrhoids as a secondary service-connected disability if the medical records bear it out. While an increase from 30 to 40 in your overall disability rating might seem minor, every little bit helps. So a win's a win. This is particularly true if you have multiple secondary service-connected disabilities you could include in a VA disability benefits claim. For example, PTSD can cause IBS and diarrhea, which in turn can cause hemorrhoids. Depending on individual ratings assigned, VA disability benefit for hemorrhoids, IBS, and PTSD may be substantially more than the VA disability benefits for PTSD alone. So that's how you kind of look at those secondaries and build your stuff up.
Yeah. So, and of course, like if you get denied, you can always appeal or get a higher rating from like an outside doctor, ask an outside doctor opinion, or request also an extra schedule rating for that. It's pretty much basic for any other conditions as well.
Yeah.
So that's it, guys, for this topic. And as always, do you have any great movie, book stuff you would recommend?
Have you seen that movie Nobody with Bob Odenkirk?
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah,
it's not too bad. It's pretty good. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to just watch a kind of fun action movie, I guess it's not too bad.
Yeah, Better Call Saul.
Yeah, that
Same
guy.
Mm-hmm.
Funny as hell.
Yeah, and words of wisdom of the day.
Don't compromise yourself. You are all you've got. There is no yesterday, no tomorrow. It's all the same day.
Said by Janis Joplin. That's it, folks. Thank you for listening. Until next time, over and out.
Yeah, thank you.